Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Jonathan. Our energy system is undergoing a fundamental change. It's decarbonising, decentralising and becoming increasingly distributed. That creates a huge opportunity, but also a huge problem in terms of the constraints that we face. The grid is ageing. The power that we need is going to double in the next kind of 10 to 15 years. But the infrastructure, particularly here in the UK and in the US, is 100 years old. The transformers that deliver the power, are over 60 years. And in Europe, most of the grid is over 40 years old, and it'll be 50% just by 2030. And that has a real fundamental impact on our need to decarbonise, hit net zero targets, but also from an economic standpoint, as we need more power to power our economy of the future. So we're building a smart energy management platform that integrates hardware and software. In fact, we're more of a software company than hardware. Hardware is just what you see. And our whole aim is to remove constraints. And we're working with a range of large corporates and businesses in order to provide more power and solve that problem of delivering power where it's needed to help them decarbonise. But in the future, we have a clear vision about how we're going to deploy community energy storage as a way to really transform how we help the grid manage constraints, but at the same time, deliver energy storage at a cost that's 100 times cheaper than is available today. So we're building our stack in 3 layers. Our own is our hardware. It's 2 to 2.5 times cheaper than anything else, but uniquely, it delivers truly independent bidirectional energy flow, so it can charge and discharge at the same time. We build that with repurposed EV batteries, and we built a system with Jaguar Land Rover using their repurposed batteries. We build our own software, our own EMS. We use that to predict and to optimize, and then we have our own platform on top that connects and provides virtual energy storage. And this is the real kicker, and how you can enable digital connection to energy storage in a way that just doesn't exist today. So most people think of energy storage in the grid at a utility scale, very useful, doesn't solve constraints at the end of the grid where people need it. Home energy storage doesn't really work for most businesses, but also for homes, because if you live in an apartment or you rent, it's irrelevant and you're never going to be able to afford it anyway. So we're going to sit in the distribution network in order to solve voltage and constraints, whilst also delivering that virtual energy storage that's hosted locally to transform the grid. So think of us like the AWS of energy storage, where we have our hardware layer, our software layer, and then our data services on top. So instead of hosting ones and zeros, we host electrons. We then optimize how that behaves, and we deliver a whole range of energy services to create a $600 billion market that just does not exist today, from peer-to-peer energy trading, market participation, and remote power access. So how it works today, you can buy the asset if you want, a lot of infrastructure players do, but we offer it as a service. And that allows us to manage constraints for the customer, reduce their costs, and at the same time, offer up that capacity to the grid. That allows us to help support with flexibility and really support demand-side response that can alleviate a lot of the constraint problems for the grid. So as I've said, the penetration rate of energy storage is very low. Even in Germany, the highest market in Europe, it's 2.5%. In the UK, it's less than 0.5% in residential market. The global market for commercial, residential, industrial energy storage is 25 billion. We believe the market for virtual energy storage is 40x, and we believe that's undercalled. If you just consider how many people, don't have energy storage, can't access it, can't afford it, and if you can transform how people access that energy storage digitally, so it's hosted locally on their phone, that then they can manage to lower their bills, we think that is transformative to then create a whole new network and platform for energy storage services. So we're raising a 3 million seed round. That'll give us just over 12 months runway. We've raised about 1.4 million from Elbow Beach Capital and also Alpha Future Funds as our pre-seed round. And in just 1.5 years, we've built a full tech stack. We've built our own hardware. We've built our own software. We've built our own data intelligence and services that sit behind it. It's CE marked, it's certified. And we've built the team, and we've generated over £500,000 of revenue just in 2024 alone. We're working with some of the major car companies. We're working with some of the largest infrastructure providers today, and also with the likes of some of the people in this room, because I know ABP are here, as another great example of infrastructure that has to remove constraints so that it can decarbonise its operations. So what we're planning to do is build 30 units in the next 12 months. That'll allow us to grow to about £2.5–3 million of revenue, about £1 million of ARR in that process, but also allow us to then approach the US market as a springboard for international growth. But our core focus is transforming how we support local energy and transforming how we support the constraints, but delivering that with an entirely new platform that provides and transforms how people access energy storage in the future. Thank you.